Welcome viewers to online courses. In this segment, we will study about contribution of phycologists in the development of phycology and classification of algae. First, contribution of phycologists. We will start with Professor F.E. Frisch. He was born in 1879 and died in 1954. He was one of the greatest and eminent phycologists. He obtained his PhD from Munich University, Germany in 1902. Later, he went to London and worked in the Department of Botany in various capacities, and finally became Professor of Botany in 1948. In 1938, he came to India to attend Indian Science Congress and delivered a lecture on algal problems peculiar to tropics. For his valuable contributions, he was awarded the gold medal from Linnean Society of London. His main interest was the study of freshwater algae. In 1902, he published a paper on germination of zoospores in Edogonium. Later, in 1935 and 1945, his famous book Structure and Reproduction of Algae, Volume 1 and Volume 2 were published. These books are used even now for the study of algae. Frisch proposed a detailed classification of algae in 1945, in which he grouped algae into 11 classes on the basis of number and mode of attachment of flagella in motile cells, chemical nature of pigments, nature of reserve food stored in cells, mode of reproduction, and variations in life cycles. These classes are: number 1, Chlorophyceae, which includes green algae. It has 9 orders. Second is Xanthophyceae, commonly known as yellow-green algae, including 4 orders. Third is Chrysophyceae, common name is golden brown algae. It includes 3 orders. Fourth is Bacillariophyceae, common name yellow-green algae called diatoms. It has 2 orders. Fifth, Cryptophyceae, common name nearly brown algae, including 2 orders. Next is Dinophyceae, common name dark yellow or brown algae, including 6 orders. Next is Chloromonadinae, common name bright green algae, including 1 order. Another one is Eugleinae, common name pure green algae, including 3 orders. Another one is Phaeophyceae, common name brown algae, including 9 orders. Another one is Rhodophyceae, common name red algae, including 7 orders. Another group is Myxophyceae, earlier name blue-green algae, including 5 orders. Second famous biologist is G.M. Smith. His full name is Gilbert Morgan Smith. He was born on 6th Jan 1885 in Beloit, Wisconsin, United States. He studied in Beloit College and University of Wisconsin, and then served in Stanford University and University of Wisconsin. G.M. Smith was a famous biologist who worked primarily on algae. He was best known for his books, particularly Freshwater Algae of United States. the marine algae of Monterey Peninsula, and 2 volumes of cryptogamic botany. He died on 11th July 1959 at the age of 74 years. In 1955, he classified algae into 7 divisions, which were further subdivided into classes. The divisions included: number 1, division Chlorophyta, including green algae, 5,700 species and 2 classes. Second is division Eugleninini, pure green algae, including 450 species, single class. Third is division Pyrophyta, commonly called fire algae, including 1,000 species and 2 orders. Next is division Chrysophyta, including 6,000 species and 3 classes. Next is division Phaeophyta, commonly called brown algae, including 1,000 species and 3 classes. Next is division Cyanophyta, commonly called blue-green algae, including 1,500 species with single class. Another is division Rhodophyta, commonly called red algae, including 2,500 species in single class. Third famous phycologist is R.N. Singh. He was a famous phycologist from India, born in 1938, associated with Banaras Hindu University. He was the student of Y. Bhardwaja and studied in Banaras Hindu University. He carried out an exemplary work on varied branches of algae such as Cyanophyceae, Zygnumataceae, Oidoginaceae, and Chaetophorales. He studied the life histories of many algae and was credited for his work on cyanobacteria and its uses in agricultural fields. He discovered Olocera fertilissima and described life history of Frischella tuberosa and many other algae. He is also known for his work on reclamation of user lands in India and has also written a monograph entitled Role of BGA in Economy of Indian Agriculture. He has contributed on nitrogen fixation by BGA and has established that Olocera fertilissima tops the list of Indian algae. The discovery of new genera created a scope for research in phycology in India, and more species were discovered in later years. The achievements of these phycologists made many more researchers to enter in the field of phycology. Another famous phycologist is T.V. Kacheri. He was a student of Professor M.O.P. Iyengar. From 1940 onwards, he worked in the University of Madras and published papers on Giliotricha, Notocopsis, and many other algae. In 1969, he wrote a monograph on Cyanophyta, which was published by ICAR. This book gives information about blue-green algae of India and neighboring countries. It comprises neat drawings of 139 plates of more than 150 genesis of BGA. Another famous biologist, H.D. Kumar. He has worked on parasexuality and metabolic behavior of BGA, mainly assists nidulans. He was a famous phycologist and has written several books on various topics. As the Indian subcontinent is fringed with oceanic water, studies on marine algae have tremendous prospects from fundamental and economic point of view. He is the author of book, The Textbook of Algae. Another famous phycologist from India is M.O.P. Iyengar. He was an outstanding and internationally famous Indian phycologist. He is considered as the father of Indian phycology. He obtained his PhD from London in 1909. He worked in the University of Madras and did lot of research on algae. From 1929 to 1950, he published various papers in reputed journals such as Journal of Linnean Society, London, Journal of Indian Botanical Society, and the Proceedings of Indian Science Congress. He also wrote monographs on volvocales and was interested in chlorophycy. The topics of his publications include the colonial volvocales of South India, fertilization of Eudorina elegans, lateral conjugation of Supyrogyra joginensis, conjugations in Caulerpa, morphology and cytology of Polysiphonia, life cycle of Slendrocapsa, Dictyostrophium, Hydrodictyon indicum, and Botrydgium. He also discovered and studied many genera of algae such as Fritillae tuberosa, Pseudovallonia, Cladospongia, etc. The well-known phycologists such as Desikachari and Sundarlingam were trained by Iyengar. He was the recipient of Birbal Sahani Gold Medal from Indian Botanical Society and Sundarlal Hora Gold Medal of the National Institute of Sciences. To honor and remember him, certain algae are named after him. Eingeria, Eingerilla, Anabina Iyengarii, Chlamydomonas iyengarii, and Cytonema iyengarii. Among his other important papers, some interesting green algae is fascinating, in which he recorded the occurrence of Chlamydomonas volvocinae, a new species inhabiting Cenobium of Volvox, Fascicocytium indicum, Chlamydomonas eudorinae, Gliococcus pyriformis. Iyengar and Desikachari established a new genus, Mastigocheladopsis, which has both lateral and terminal heterocysts. This was about the famous biologists who have served in algae, who have contributions in the field of phycology. Now, classification of algae. First, criteria for algal classification. Chlorophyll is present in all groups of algae, but in some groups, pigments other than chlorophyll are dominant and mask the green color of chlorophyll. On the basis of color, 4 groups have been recognized. They include Myxophyceae or Cyanophyceae, which were earlier called blue-green algae, have dominant pigment C. Phycocyanin. This group is no more included in algae but in kingdom Monera. Second group is Chlorophyceae. It is the group of green algae. Dominant pigment in them is chlorophyll A and B. Third group is Phaeophyceae, commonly called brown algae. Dominant pigment fucoxanthin. Fourth group is red algae, scientifically called Rhodophyceae. Dominant pigment or phycoerythrin. In the last few decades, a lot of information has become available on the structure, reproduction and physiological processes of algae, which have been used to develop more natural systems of classification. The basic characters employed in the classification of algae are physiological characteristics of vegetative cells. For example, chemical nature of cell wall, reserve food materials, types of pigments, and the morphology of motile reproductive cells. For example, kind, number and position or insertion of flagella. Here I would like to mention International Code of Botanical Nomenclature has recommended the following suffixes for different categories of algae. For division, suffix is phyta. Subdivision, phytina. Class, Phyceae. Subclass, Phycidae. Order, Ales. Suborder, Inales. Family, Acae. Subfamily, Oidae. We will start with classification by Carolus Linnaeus. He was the first biologist to place algae in 25th class Cryptogamia in his artificial system of classification, which was published in his book Species Plantarum. Eckler, Viennese biologist, included algae as a subkingdom in Cryptogamy and division Thallophyta. Engler and Pruntle placed algae along with bacteria and fungi in a single group. Frisch recognized algae as a division and divided them into 11 classes. Smith recognized algae as subkingdom and divided them into 7 subdivisions. Round divided algae into 2 major groups, Prokaryota and Eukaryota. Prescott classified algae on the basis of pigment distribution, biochemical nature of cell wall, and nature of reserve food into 9 phyla and 14 classes. Round classified algae on the basis of organizational status of nucleus and then available phylogenetic data. He grouped algae into 8 phyla and 2 groups. First group is Prokaryota, characterized by absence of delimiting nuclear membrane, nucleolus and other membrane bound organelles. It includes phylum Cyanophyta, including single class Cyanophyceae, which was formerly called Myxophyceae. Second group includes Eukaryota, which is characterized by presence of well-organized nucleus and other membrane-bound cell organelles. It includes 7 phyla and 16 classes. Phylum second, Chrysophyta. It includes 4 classes, namely Xanthophyceae, Chrysophyceae, Heptophyceae and Bacillariophyceae, commonly called diatoms. Third phylum includes Chlorophyta, which includes 6 classes, namely Chlorophyceae, Bryopsidophyceae, Conjugatophoraceae, Oidogoniophyceae, Chlorophyceae and Prasinophyceae. Phylum 4, Euglenophyta, including single class Euglenophyceae. Phylum 5, Pyrophyta, including single family Desmophyceae. Phylum 6, Cryptophyta, including single family Cryptophyceae. Seventh phylum, Phaeophyta, including single family Phaeophyceae. Phylum 8, Rhodophyta, including single family Rhodophyceae. Now, classification by Robert Edward Lee. He classified algae into 4 evolutionary groups. They include Group 1, prokaryotic algae, including division Cyanophyta and Prochlorophyta. Group 2, which includes eukaryotic algae, distributed in division Glucophyta, Rhodophyta and Chlorophyta. Group 3, it is a group of eukaryotic algae with chloroplast surrounded by one membrane chloroplast endoplasmic reticulum. It includes division Euglenophyta, division Dinophyta. Now the last group, which is group 4, it includes eukaryotic algae with chloroplast surrounded by 2 membranes of chloroplast endoplasmic reticulum. It includes division Cryptophyta, division Chrysophyta, division Premnesiophyta, commonly called haptophytes, division Xanthophyta, division Eumastagophyta, division Phaeophyta. With this we conclude classification of algae. Hope you have understood the lecture. Thank you.